This was a colossal beatdown as the Ohio State Buckeyes got their revenge on the Oregon Ducks, winning 41-21. And by the way, this game was not even close as the Buckeyes led 34-8 at half. It was a done deal. Now, there have always been beatdowns like this in the playoff, back to four teams, and even in the BCS days, you had the occasional slaughter in the national championship game. But this one kind of hit different as these were probably out of the top three teams, probably two of the top three teams if you were to power rank them in the country going into the game. This video is not so much an instant reaction. I do a lot of instant reactions on the channel. Right after the game, I post them. I will continue to do that, but this is a different style of video. I got very busy last night. I was not able to record a instant reaction for this game. So instead, this video will focus more on the storylines surrounding both teams going forward from this game. Really quick, before we get into the heart of this video, Friday the 3rd, the channel will be going through a total rebrand. I'll still be talking ball all day long, but well, I don't want to spoil that, but just be on the lookout for that as the channel continues to grow and evolve. Subscribe as it is the best and most efficient way to support the channel. Like and comment, do all that stuff. It would be greatly appreciated. With that being said, let's dive right into it. Okay, let's dive right into the analysis here. Oregon, how did they lose this game? By so many points. How were they getting blown out this bad? Were they overrated? Is it that simple? Were they outcoached? How? How did they lose this bad? I think it was a combination of a lot of different factors, but the main one is that they were outcoached. And this will lead into the next point, but Dan Lanning did not prepare well enough for this game at all. They tried to throw the same thing that worked during the first Ohio State meeting and just tried to regurgitate that back out. It did not work. They did not adjust at all. There were definitely things in the first Oregon game that Oregon did not do well at, and they just didn't adjust at all. So I think they were definitely outcoached. They were underprepared for this game, and they just did not come out ready. And that's really my only explanation. It's very hard. I'm going to be honest with you, very hard to find reasons why they lost this bad. I can find reasons why they lost, but it's just really hard when you're going down 34-8 at half. Um, and this leads into my next point. Is this loss more reflective on Dan Lanning or Dylan Gabriel? Basically, was it the fact that they were outcoached, or were they just not executing? And I blame this loss more on Dan Lanning because in order to execute, you have to be able to put in the position to execute. And it just seemed that Dan Lanning and his coaching staff did not prepare well at all. Will Stein, the offensive coordinator, did not have this offense ready to go. This defense was just getting burnt left and right. They played a lot of man coverage early, and that's what toasted them early in this game. But then Dylan Gabriel was confused. That Ohio State gave them completely different looks on defense. It was night and day what Ohio State gave them in the first meeting and in the Rose Bowl here this game. So the fact that Dylan Gabriel was very confused leads me to think that that's also poor coaching leading up into this game. I don't want to blast Dan Lanning and his coaching staff too much. I still think Will Stein is a top 3 offensive coordinator. I still think Dan Lanning's a top 5 head coach. It was just a really, really bad day for them. But you have to also look at the execution as well. So I think it was more the fact that they weren't prepared enough and they were outcoached. Excuse me. But also you have to execute. So definitely some of this blame falls on Dylan Gabriel, and that's why he's been in college for 6 years, is because of games like this. The games like this happened at OU and whatnot. Is there a philosophy change needed? That's my final point here in terms of looking at Oregon. I saw some people online talk about, oh, how, the spread offense isn't going to work in the Big Ten. If you want to win big, you can't really have the spread offense. You can't play the man coverage. You can't be doing all of this that they're doing. And they, need to change that and play more of a Big Ten style of ball because they know that they can get the type of player. Um, all that stuff. I personally don't think so. I think you run it back one more year with the same philosophy and see if you can make those adjustments coaching wise to win the big games when you need them. People online forget that they went 13-0. They beat Penn State and Ohio State, and they beat other top teams like Illinois, Boise State. They played a decent schedule, and they won a lot of games. They won every single game that they played. This is their only loss, and now everyone thinks that Oregon is like the number 7 team. That's just frankly not the case. This was just a one-off thing. They're still a top 5 team right now. I guarantee. I need to watch my words. I think right now, if they were to play Texas, they would win. It's just they got a bad draw with Ohio State, and that's a thing that's wrong with the playoff. But in an upcoming video, I'm going to talk about everything wrong with college football and fix it. So there's something to look forward to. So subscribe and turn your notification bell on so that you get alerted when that video comes out, and that video is going to be an absolute banger as well. So let's move on to Ohio State. Is this the best team in football right now? 100% it is. You just beat a top 3 power rated team in Oregon like this. Yeah, you're top. You are the top team. I take them in so many different categories when it comes to Texas. I think that they'll beat Texas. Texas got its own issues right now. They do not look like a well-oiled machine, let me tell you that. I think that the only team that comes close to them is Penn State. And they beat Penn State in Happy Valley by, I think, 6 points, just off the top of my head. But needless to say, I think that they are 100% the best team. And if they don't win the national championship, that is very disappointing. But let's not go there yet because they haven't done it. So, and just going back to the game, this was the definition of a team win. Caleb Downs won the MVP. Jeremiah Smith won the offensive player. I mean, it was not just a one-man show. It was not just, your quarterback going out and slinging it and winning the game for you while your defense was terrible. I mean, the defense was amazing. They got to Dillon Gabriel, they had 8 sacks. Who would have thought that going into this game? That they would have 8 sacks. 2 by Cody Simon, who won Defensive Player of the game. Sorry, I forgot about that. JT Tuimoloau had 2 with 3 TFLs. Jack Sawyer had 2. Caden Curry had 1. Lathan Ransom had 1. And that's 8 right there. But last game that these two teams squared off, and Oregon did not allow a single sack. They controlled the line of scrimmage. And I talked about that in my preview, and that's one of the things that I thought. I predicted that Oregon would win this game. And that's probably the most wrong I've ever been on the channel, the early portion of this channel so far. I thought that Oregon would win hands down. I thought they'd win by 3 or 4 points, but evidently that was not the case. One of the reasons I thought that they would do better in the line of scrimmage than they did here. They let by 8 sacks. It was just not good. So just back to Ohio State, this was the definition of a team win. They won the line of scrimmage. They rushed for 180 yards. Jeremiah Smith went for 187 yards. We're going to talk about him in a second. But this was just a definition of a team win. Will Howard played really good. His QBR was 97.7. He threw for 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 0 interceptions. Mind you, 0 interceptions. Did not get sacked once. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It was the definition of a team win. And Jeremiah Smith is the best wide receiver in the country, and it isn't even close. He's honestly one of the best players he's a top 3 player in the country right now. He's the best wide receiver in the country. He would go 1-1 right now if he were to go in the draft right now. And he's got 2 or 3 more years left at Ohio State. Goodness, it's just limitless, the potential with this guy. You cannot play man coverage against him. That is for darn sure. 7 receptions for 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, along of 45. He averaged 26.7 yards per reception. Also had a 5-yard carry. So, I mean, this guy is amazing. I can't describe how good he is because he's just that good. Okay, that's all I have for today. I will be putting out an instant reaction for the Notre Dame Georgia game after that is done. So I want you guys, if you're watching this a little later on in the day or tomorrow, to go ahead and watch that one as well. That game's going to be a super fun one. And I will see you guys in the next one.